Jain students, we are going to start new chapter poverty. So, who is said to be poor? So, we see the various characteristics of poor. So, one of the characteristics is illiteracy, ill health, and malnutrition. So, starvation and hunger are the key features of poorest. You know that. Then we can see indebtedness or to village money lenders. Some of them will be in debt trap. So they borrow money from money lenders who charge them high rates of interest that lead them to into chronic indebtedness. So next is unemployed or underemployed. So many of them are unemployed or underemployed who are working under someone. So sometimes they may be they are working simply, they may not get wages. So that is also one of the condition. Next is unorganized and therefore cannot bargain with employers on minimum wages. So they are unorganized or they have no security. So they will be they will not have any bargaining power or highly vulnerable situations, and due to they may be having illiteracy, and may not have other opportunity of leaving the job and joining other job. So no access to electricity, drinking water, and sanitation facilities. So these may also be a characteristics of poor. Next, gender injustice. So women in some places suffer a lot, and there may be inequality in gender. And you know that in North Indians and Indian side and all, in some places women are still not getting any importance. So so that may be a reason for the gender injustice. And next is no assets like land. So some of them have no assets like a land and they can't live. So next is majority of the poor belong to socially backward section. Of majority of the poor of the society belong to the section. So how are poor identified? So this was a first thing that was started by Dadabhai Naoroji. It was mainly before the independence. This sort of this judgment of or measurement, how to measure poverty and all was judged. So how are the poor identified according to Dadabhai Naoroji? To solve the problem of poverty, first be poor have to be identified. So before independence, Dadabhai Naoroji estimated poverty in India using poverty line. So he used the items given to a prisoner and prevailing prices of these items to be calculated. A jail cost of living was the name given to this what identification measure, and cost of living in jails. So how he calculated? So prior to independence, Dadabhai Naoroji had discussed the concept of poverty line. So he was first to discuss the concept of poverty line. So he based his calculation on the cost of living in our jails. So at that time before independence, how the peoples in the jail and all were living, he studied the poverty line on the basis of that. So he studied the menu of prisoner in the jail and calculated its cost. He based the poverty line on a prisoner's cost of living. So he supposed that one third of the population in a society would be children. Half of this would consume very little food, and the other half would consume only half of what an adult consumes. So based on this supposition, Dadabhai Naoroji gave a shape to poverty line. So 1/6 into nil plus 1/6 into half plus 2/3 into full. So it was the concept. and therefore poverty line equal to 3 by 4 was the answer. So 3 by 4 of the cost of living in the jail is the poverty line. So he fixed the poverty line on 3 by 4th of the cost of living in the jail. So what was the solution, you know? So 1/3 of the population in the society would be children. He assumed that 1/3 of the population in the population would be children, and half of that would be consume very little food. So then he thought that the other half would be consuming only half of what adults consumed. So that was his solution, and this the formula he used was 1/6 into nil plus 1/6 into half plus 2/3 into full. So this type of question may not be asked. So it is just for your general knowledge. So you can just understand that before independence, who first calculated poverty line. So using poverty line, who first calculated poverty? So who was that? Dadabhai Naoroji. So that may be asked for one word. Next is students classification of poverty. So what are the classification? Chronic poor, transient poor, or occasionally poor, or kerning poor, or non-poor. So these are 4 classifications. So chronic poor may be divided into 2, which are usually poor or always poor. So chronic poor are divided into 2. So always poor means those people who are always poor. Usually poor means those who may sometimes have a little money, such as casual laborers. So other time they will not work, so they may be poor. So that is chronic poor. So transient poor or occasionally poor, those who are rich most of the time, they may sometimes have bad luck. So that is known as transient poor or occasionally poor. So they may be, sometimes they may be poor. So next is kerning poor. So those who regularly move in and out of the poverty, such as small farmers and seasonal farmers. So seasonal workers, you know, they may have sometimes according to the climate they may have work. So if it is good climate and agriculture is possible, they will work. Otherwise they are not able to work. So next is non-poor. Those who are never poor. So that is known as non-poor. So you can just see the chart. So poverty line is given dotted line, and you can see that this always poor, they will be always below the poverty line. So here usually poor means there sometimes, that is one curve is above the poverty line, then again decreasing, then it is again under the poverty line. So it is usually poor. So here kerning poor means they will go up, the poverty line comes down, then go up, then goes down. So they may be sometimes in the poor situation. So it is example is given as small farmers, so seasonal workers, so they may be kerning poor. So occasionally poor means they may be 4 times. You can see that the chart is chart that is four times they are up of the poverty line, and one time they are below the poverty line. So they are occasionally poor. So sometimes 1 or 2 times they may be poor. So that is occasionally poor. So never poor means they may be always up the poverty line. So that is known as never poor. Hope you understood the classification of poverty. So poverty line has been divided into 2, relative and absolute poverty line. So relative poverty, it refers to a comparative study of different classes, regions, and different countries. The country or class of people whose level of subsistence is low is treated poor or relatively poor. So in comparison with a class of people having high level of subsistence, so they are known as what, relatively poor. So per capita income of India is lower in comparison to USA. So therefore India is poor country, and it is, for this reason, it is known as underdeveloped country. So it is just the comparison of, we are relative comparison that we are making with the other nations. So that is known as relative poverty. So next is absolute poverty. Absolute poverty refers to the section of society who is unable to have even basic necessities of life, or fails to attain minimum standard of living. So it is determined on the basis of following two criteria: minimum calories criterion and minimum consumption expenditure criterion. So you can see minimum calories criterion. Planning Commission in 1977 defined poverty line on the basis of consumption of calories. So calories intake depends upon nutritional level of food items. It is defined 2400 calories per person per day in rural areas, and 2100 calories in urban areas. So below this level, they are treated as people living below poverty line. So this is the standard definition for poverty. So next is minimum consumption expenditure criterion. So in India, most of the estimates are determining poverty on the basis of minimum consumption expenditure required per person per month. So it refers to the different amount of rural and urban areas. So on the basis of 1993-94 prices, monthly consumption expenditure in rural areas was to 229.8, and in urban areas was 264 per month per person. So according to NSSO 2009-10, monthly consumption expenditure is 1054 in rural areas and 1984 in urban areas. According to 68th round of NSSO in 2011-12, so it may be the late according to the census. So per maybe latest census, I think. So per capita in monthly income is 2278.94 in rural areas and 2399.24 in urban areas. So people falling below this are known to be poor or below poverty line. So who have a monthly income or daily, they have a monthly expenditure of 2279.94 in rural areas and 2399.24 in urban areas are told to be non-poor, and below that they are said to be poor. So who have this much of money for expenditure, they are not poor, and below this much of money they are said to be poor. So it is according to 2001-12 census, 2001 census. So that period they had taken the rates, and you can see this is the important definition. Still this definition has been followed, that is of poverty line. What is poverty line? If anybody asks, you can say that it's a calories intake depends upon the nutritional level of food items. It is defined as you have to say like that, it is defined as 2400 calories per person per day in rural areas and 2100 calories in urban areas. Below this level they are treated as poor people living below poverty line. According to the calories they are telling like that. So otherwise you can just say that it's a line determining the poorer sections of the society. So in calories term, in every book this definition will be there, you can see that. Next, causes of poverty. So first is impact of British rule on Indian economy. So there was substantial negative impact of British rule on Indian economy and standard of living of people. So policy of deindustrialization, status of India as an exporter of raw materials and an importer of finished goods left India in poverty as our natural resources were plundered by Britishers. So next is economic conditions of farmers since independence and state indebtedness. So even today agriculture is a principal mean of livelihood and land is primary asset of rural people. Redistribution of land didn't bring positive change in improving economic condition of farmers. So also most of the Indian states failed to implement land redistribution policies. So this also led for the drawback of farmers since independence. So next is high growth rate of population, and we can say that in second point one more thing, indebtedness of among farmers is also one of the causes of poverty, and we can say that mostly farmers are under poverty situation. So third is high growth rate of population. So the growth rate of population in India has always been higher than economic growth on the nation, and this the combination of growing poverty and growing population has resulted in higher level of poverty. So this led to poverty as our per capita income followed as a comparison of increase in poverty. So we what per head of this income that we get are always decreasing as poverty is increasing, so we can't afford that. So next is widespread of unemployment. So lack of job or opportunities, lack of awareness, so these and lower standard of living, so these and all caused widespread of unemployment. So next is low level of capital formation. Capital formation in India is very low, which causes low level of economic development. So we can say that capital deficiency exists because of low level of income, due to which level of there is a low level of savings and there is less investment. So that's why our capital formation becomes very low. So we can say that there is no production, decline in production and savings, and job opportunities also declining. So these may be the one of the causes of low level of capital formation. Next is lack of infrastructure. We don't have as such much developed infrastructure, so this may also may be the causes of poverty. So we can say that before the independence, Britishers had exploited our all resources. This may be the we may be in poor situation from that time or onwards. So that may also lead for this situation, lack of infrastructure. Next is inequalities of income and wealth. Next we can see that there is difference in what income distribution among poor and richer. So poorer becomes always poor and richer gets always high money and they become always rich. So income, wealth and means of produce are concentrated in few hands, and this may be lead to the people to be more rich. So they or the people who are getting more that outputs and all, they will be treated as mostly richer and richer, and they will be always be richer. So redistribution is not taking place. So rise in general price level. So continuous rise in price, especially of basic and essential goods, has added to problem of poverty. So that is one of the problem. Next, lower level of education. Due to their illiteracy and limited skills, they are forced to pick low paid jobs, resulting in low level of income generation. So this may be due to education among poor people is very uh, uncommon. So the cause of being low level of income, lack of awareness, lack of educational facilities are still existing among poor sections of the society. Next is social factors. Social factors, it is illiteracy and ignorance of the job opportunities and all come under the social factors. So social welfare of the economy are not seen by the government properly. So next is political factor. The British Raj impoverished millions of people in India by misusing our resources, high taxes, exports of basic goods, etc. So we were exploited, you know. So as a result, our economy became economically weaker. So next is improper utilization of resources. Our resources are not properly utilized. So underutilization of resources, and we are not able to produce maximum causing output, and this is leading to our most of the situation of poverty. So next we will be looking into features of Indian poverty. So what is the condition now? So after the introduction of new economic policy, the poverty in India was slightly more than 50%, which means every second Indians was poor. So poverty in rural areas had always been on higher side than that of urban areas. So significant fall in poverty took place. From 1993 to 94 to 2004 to 2005 and 2009 to 10. The number of poor was 41 crore in 2004-2005. So absolute number of poor people in India remained 35 crore in 2009-10 and 27 crore in 2011-12. According to the NSSO, the poverty ratio caused to 37% in 2004-5. The poverty ratio reduced to 30% in 2010 and 21.9% in 2012 during the 11th plan. So the latest information in India, 271 million people moved out of poverty line from the period 2006 to 2016. Hence, the target was to achieve 10% poverty ratio by 2017 by the end of 12th plan, which could not be achieved. So this was the situation of our Indian poverty. It is according to the Planning Commission, so which existed, and this rates may not be asked for you. So you can just conclude that we can say that still now rural areas are not targeted to be what developing, and they have to be developed still now, and urban areas are more better than the rural areas. So what are the effects of poverty? So sometimes this question may be asked. So decline in per head availability of land. So due to poverty, poor population is increasing continuously in the absence of employment. The per head availability of land for cultivation is declining slowly. So it leads to subdivision and fragmentation of land holding. So as you know that as population increasing, we are not able to give each increase in population the land holdings as such. So we are as population increasing, we are subdividing the land. So as a result, we the per head population withstands the land holdings. So next is lack of job security. So rural people migrate to urban areas in search of employment, and industrialization is not able to absorb all these people. So the urban poor are either unemployed or irregular laborers. So they are intermittently employed. So they are intermittently employed means they are, for time beings they are employed, but usually they are unemployed. So these casual laborers are very poor. So they have no job security due to lack of opportunities. So this is rural people who are migrating to urban areas due to in job search, and they are getting job, and the who are living in urban areas, they are not working and they are unemployed. And as a result, in urban areas they may be what white collar jobs and all, maybe they may be searching for, they may not be getting that. So as a result they will be usually what unemployed. So as a result they get into poverty situation. So that is the situation of urban area. So you can just see the examples, that is who are coming from Bengal and all for in search of jobs in our country, our sorry in our state, and they are working. So that is one of the example. We can see that migration of rural people to urban areas. So the sometimes we had heard that their Gulf is our Kerala. So like that some people are telling. So that is the second point. Next is third point, indebtedness. So in fact of poverty is related to nature of employment as unemployment, underemployment, and casual and interim nature of work. So as a result, the basic requirement of the people are not fulfilled. Hence rural and urban laborers have to borrow loans, and they will be in poverty situation or indebtedness, and they have to give money in return. So next is suicides and all are increasing. Some crops have failed due to drought or other natural calamities. So loan is taken to meet the agricultural and domestic requirements, and in this way the farmers are indebted and they have to commit suicide due to their inability to pay back the loans. So next is the disparity of income wealth. So there is a steep rise in prices of food grains and other essential goods. So the in low income groups have faced many difficulties. As a result, rich become richer and poor become poorer. Hence the disparity of income inequality also tends to rise continuously. That is, poverty rise continuously. So in this way society is divided into two groups: those who are the owners of means of production are and earn more income, those who have their labor for their survival. So hence in India rich are becoming richer, and are poorer are becoming poorer, and it means the gap between rich and poor are continuously increasing. So what are the measures to solve the poverty? Solving poverty by accelerating the pace of economic growth. So we have to concentrate in the growth of our economy, then only we can improve our that situation of poverty. So capital infrastructure has to be increased, and more job opportunities are to be implemented. Next is solving poverty, reduction in inequality of income and wealth. So income and wealth to be equally distributed, so there should not be any barriers in between. So fiscal measures and the legislative measures are to be taken. Fiscal measures we can say, we can see, we have seen that is tax implementation, and legislative measures means minimum wages act. So minimum wages should be fixed for the personnel who are working in rural areas, and minimum support price have to be fixed for the farmers. We had a scene in price price fixing and all, and a free education should be given for primary level. So primary education is to be given for poorer sections of the society, so it must be given as compulsory. So that's a legislative measure under the inequalities of income and wealth portion. So next is solving poverty through population control. So we have to control our population, then only we can solve poverty. Next is agriculture development. So some of the society people are depending upon agriculture still. So they have to get betterment, and that part also have to be developed. So generating more income for them, so like that their poverty may be reduced. Next, control over inflation. So we have to check inflation, price rise and all, so that our economy will be not under poverty situation. So government should resort various fiscal and monetary measures to control the supply of money in the economy. So next, third one, increase in sixth one, increase in generation of employment opportunities. So more employment opportunities are to be given by the government, so that poverty may be reduced. Next, a minimum needs program for poor. So this program should be effectively implemented by ensuring that articles of basic necessities are provided at a reasonable prices to the poor. So that that is drinking water, provision of primary health centers are to be made liable. So next is regional balance growth. So steps should be taken to remove regional disparities, so that backward areas can be developed and job opportunities can be created to absorb unemployed workers. So next is development of industries. So industries are to be developed so that poverty can be eradicated. So next is public distribution system to be strengthened. So public distribution system should be made strong, so that it becomes effective and distribute essential goods through fair price shops, so that poor people can get more food grains and all. So next is provision of social security. So social security means welfare of the people. So old age pension schemes, provident funds, compensation of employees and all had to be generated, so that most of the people who are not getting sufficient income can afford it. So next is three-dimension approach to poverty elevation. So there are certain measures taken by government to reduce poverty. So the government's approach to poverty reduction was three-dimension. First is growth-oriented approach. So the first approach to poverty reduction is growth-oriented approach. It is based on expectation that the effects of economic growth, rapid increase in gross domestic product and per capita income would spread all sections of society, and it will trickle down to be poor sections also. So this was the major focus of planning in 1950s and early 1960s. It was felt that rapid industrial development and transformation of agriculture through green revolution in select regions would benefit the underdeveloped regions and the poor backward sections of the community. So critical evaluation of these terms. So first, the overall growth of agriculture and industrial have not been impressive. As I had told you, only urban areas have been concentrated more. So rural area was not concentrated. So population growth has resulted in very low growth in per capita incomes, and the gap between poor and rich has actually widened, and the green revolution increased the disparity of regionally and between large and small farmers. Economists state that the benefits of economic growth have not trickled down to to the poor. So trickle down to the poor means it was a theory. So these benefits of growth trickle down the poor means this was the theory known as trickle down theory. That was they succeeded in removing poverty through sustained economic growth, and economic growth generates jobs and income for the poor. So this was the what the trickle down theory had reduced the uh, poverty situation. So in India also we thought in early years of planning that we can tackle poverty through economic growth. So that was the theory. So next is poverty alleviation program, employment generation program. So certain programs have been implemented by the government. So that is that. So while looking for alternatives to specifically address the poor, policy measure makers and started thinking that incomes and employment for the poor could be raised through the creation of income earning assets and by means of work generation. So one of the noted programs initiated in 1970s was Food for Work program. Most of the poverty alleviation programs implemented are based on perspectives of a 5-year plans. So expanding self-employment program and wage employment program are being considered as major ways of addressing poverty. For example, Rural Employment Generation Program REGP. This program aims at creating self-employment opportunities in rural areas. So the Khadi and Village Industries is implementing it, and under this program one can get financial assistance in the form of bank loans to set up small scale industries. So that is REGP. Next program is Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana PMRY. The educated unemployed from low income families in rural and urban areas can get financial help to set up any kind of enterprises that generates employment under PMRY. So next is Swarna Jayanti Sahari Rozgar Yojana. So it mainly aims at creating employment opportunities. So both the self-employed and the wage-employed people. And next is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So in August 2005, the Parliament passed a new act known as MGNREGP. So under this act, provide guarantee wage employment to every rural household would whose adult volunteer is to do unskilled manual work for minimum 100 days in a year. So under this act, all those among the poor who are ready to work at a minimum wage rate can report for work in areas where this program is implemented. So in 2013-14, nearly 5 crore households got employment opportunities under this law. So next is Swarna Jayanti Grama Swarozgar Yojana. Early under self-employed programs, financial assistance was given to families or individuals. Since the 1990s, this approach has been changed. Now, those who wish to benefit from the programs are encouraged to self-help groups, and initially they are encouraged to save some money and lend among themselves as small loans, and later through banks the government provide partial financial assistance to SHGs, self-help groups, which then decide whom the loan to be given to for self-employment activities. So Swarna Jayanti Grama Swarozgar Yojana is one of such programs. So this has now been restructured as National Rural Livelihood Mission. So a similar program called the National Urban Livelihood Mission has also been placed for urban poor. Next is providing minimum basic amenities through public expenditure. So the third approach is to addressing poor is to provide minimum basic amenities to the people through public expenditure on social consumption needs. Provision for food grains at subsidized rates, education, health, water supply and sanitation programs. Programs under this approach are expected to supplement the consumption of the poor, create employment opportunities, and bring about improvements in health and education. So one can trace this approach from the fifth five-year plan. So even with the expanded employment opportunities, the poor will not be able to buy for themselves all the essential goods and services. They have to be supplemented up to at least certain minimum standards by social consumption and investment in the form of essential food grains, education, health, nutrition, drinking water, housing, communication and electricity. So they are not given free in the form of free things like this. Free, that is, they are not provided the assistance for that. So the financial assistance are not taken from them, and they are provided for free, that is education, health, nutrition, drinking water, housing, etc. So three major programs that aim at improving food nutrition status of the poor are public distribution system, integrated child development scheme, midday meal scheme, and Pradhan Mantri's Grama Sadak Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gramadaya Yojana, Valmiki Ambedkar Awas Yojana are also attempts in development infrastructure and housing conditions. So the government also has a variety of other social security programs to help a few specific groups. So National Social Assistance Program is one of such program initiated by the central government. So under this program, elderly people who do not have anyone to take care of them are given pension to sustain themselves. So poor women who are destitute and widows are also covered under the scheme. So the government also introduced a few schemes to provide health insurance to poor people. So from 2014, a scheme called Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is available, in which people in India are encouraged to open bank accounts. Besides promoting saving habits, and this scheme intends to transfer all the benefits to the government schemes and subsidies to account holders directly. Each bank account holder is also entitled to 1 lakh accident insurance and 30,000 life insurance cover. Students, this is an important question that may be asked, that is critical assessment or critical evaluation of poverty elevation programs. So what will be your answer? So you can find another some thing can also be added to this points also by referring your text. Otherwise, just study and read this. So the answer is, the main objective of Niti Aayog is to alleviate poverty. In this regard, government has launched many elevation programs. Even then, no radical change has been observed in the ownership of assets, process of production, and basic amenities to the poor. In this way, poverty elevation programs have proved a failure, and the main reasons for the failure are the given below. In insufficient resources, government spends huge amounts of money on poverty elevation program, but the amount allocated for these programs is not sufficient. Next, lack of proper implementation. Poverty elevation program depend upon government and bank officials for their implementation, but they are dishonest, corrupt and untrained. So there is a lack of effective implementation. Next is lack of active participation of the poor. high growth rate alone is insufficient to reduce poverty. In fact, there is need of active participation of the poor for the effective implementation of poverty alleviation program. It is possible through a process of social mobilization and encouraging poor people. And next, fourth is lack of proper identification of the poor. So the poor are not properly identified. There is a great need to identify the poor and poverty sickness. With this lack of infrastructure, the poor can't enjoy the infrastructure facilities. There is a need to provide infrastructure such as transport, communication, education, training, institution, power and IT services to the poor. And as a conclusion, we can say that it shows government introduced many programs from time to time to alleviate poverty, but due to the lack of effective implementation, these programs could not achieve the target. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts, kindly ask me. You are free to be asked, and we will be meeting in next class with the new chapter. Thank you.